Hello there, folks, and welcome to the stream. My name is Mike D'Angelo, aka That Tellest Guy, and we are back today looking at our covered bridge map. This is the last Kickstarter map that we have, save one from our partner that we've got to work on before technically they're all done. And I think the partner one that we're expecting is going to be a little bit different than what we originally expected. We also are going to be giving out a bunch of freebies to the Kickstarter backers, just because we had some other maps that we were working on, and we want to, reward people for supporting us. So we've got that stuff coming too. The covered bridge map is it's inspired by something close to where we live. So I figured it would be kind of fun to bring that into this world. What we ended up doing is doing most of the kind of setup and getting like the creek or stream or river or whatever that this is going through, and getting the actual bridge that goes across it, and just basically kind of figuring out where things are going to go. I am going to do one more little sort of side stream over here. So let's real quick, we're going to go and get ready to subtract this. And let's see if this ends up looking good or terrible. You know what? We're going to snake it a little bit. So instead of being straight across like that, we're going to go up there, and let's separate it even more. And we got to get some water in there. So let's make sure we're doing the background layer and throw that all up in there. And let's do, we're going to go to our mask tools real quick. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. We'll do that in a second. What I'm going to do is, I don't really like the way that we have things looking right now. We don't have too many of our maps that are battle maps, I should say, that have that kind of like brown border with the ripples. So we're going to try and real quick use a cliff stamp set, and we're going to just draw that in here. I am using a stylus on my drawing tablet to try and see if we can get this looking good. I'm not a huge fan of the way that the cliffs typically look when it comes to the path tool or the line tool or whatever, but if you're using them on kind of like a smaller level, it doesn't look as jarring. Let's move that layer down so that the tree sits on top. And we're going to do another one over here. You'll see I'm going at this the other direction just because natively this is going to have this facing north instead of south. So just do this real quick. Okay. And then we'll go back and we'll fine tune it a little bit more. And up here we've got these guys. So again, starting it on the left so that it faces down. Now, there's a lot of new stuff that's coming that we haven't really touched yet because we wanted to make sure that we're finishing this content first. But we do have some pretty cool stuff. Oh, the green Riper. Hey, mate, really love your stream and enjoy being part of your fan community. Would you mind adding me up on Discord? My username is Joshua Adi. I'm sorry, Joshua Adi. Yeah, I'll do that. I won't be during the stream, but I will do it afterwards. I didn't realize that my monitor is sitting far enough back where it, I almost knocked it over. And that's not good. We don't like that. Okay, so we're going to have that down here, and then I might fix that in a few minutes. Clean that up a little bit more on the other side, because we did add that other stuff. I might tackle that a different way. Okay, so we got that stuff. And let's do, we're going to bring the stamp scale down by about 10 points, and let's keep it going. So this should again, oh, you know what, is that going to face up? That's going to face up. So we're going to come at it from this side over here. And you can fix that after the fact. I just like doing it this way. Obviously fine-tuning it a little bit more than I probably need to, but going over here, and this one, we'll end up doing it like this, and then we'll bring it all the way around. Okay, and one more pass. Okay, and that ought to do it. So let's do our mask tools one more. God bless you. Sneezy wife. And we're going to go to bless you again. Let's get rid of the stroke effect real quick. Let me see. So the only problem that we're going to run into here is that we're going to need to fill in some of the space. So if we go back into the mask tool, let's go back in here and let's see if we can start to draw some of that. Ooh, we don't want to subtract, we want to add. So let's do this and see if we can leave it looking a little cleaner than when we just did that stuff. So anytime we see any bit of this blue, we're going to fill it in. And we'll get some ripples out of it. We're probably going to change the ripple content a little bit too, so it looks a little nicer. Definitely gonna have to go in here and look at it in HD, because we've done that before with like the bigger maps, you know, like the regional and world maps, and we've noticed that some of that stuff kind of sneaks by and you don't realize it. You can actually see that there's some spots over here where you actually want to take it away. Let's see what the hotkey is. It's been a while. I'm going to toggle that. Toggle it back. Okay. Put it over here. Anywhere else that blue is where it's not supposed to be, and green where it's not supposed to be. I feel like I erred on the side of caution when it came to outward facing in. I'll check over here one more time just to make sure. Looks like everything. Oh, wait a minute. I see a little bit. Thought I could sneak by. Okay, got some sneaking over here. It's easy to lose it in the trees. That's good. And go to the other side real quick. Okay, looks good there. Definitely messy over here. This will be a good start for us. And then we'll take a step out and we'll see how everything else looks. Everything looks good. Let's do a save real quick. 50 is not a huge amount or anything, but you never really know. It shouldn't take too long. And I need to hydrate. Alrighty. So, next thing that we're going to do, you'll notice that we have these outlines here and here that were supposed to be kind of like our indication of where we were going to put our trees and stuff like that. In real life, you usually have like a lot of trees all kind of snuggled up next to each other, but for the sake of D&D, we're going to try and leave some gaps here and there. So let's see real quick if we can. I can't remember if you can edit a path. I feel like you can't. We'll do. Oop, that was perfectly fine. But what we're going to do is come through. Oop, son of a. We're going to identify our little, we're going to identify our little pathway. So we're going to do something along those lines. So that there's multiple ways to get through this area. And same thing over here. Our little pass through is going to be something like that. And that way the adventurers can figure out what they want to do there. And what we'll end up doing is we'll have a point of interest down here. The bridge itself is a pretty big point of interest, and maybe something down here. I mean, technically this is another point of interest as well. But so let's put some. Oh, you know what? We did talk about how we were going to rope back the mask effects a little bit. So let's do the ripples, and we'll move it back to 3 with maybe like a slightly bigger gap. There we go. I feel like that's nice. Death knife. All right. We don't really need. Well, you know what? I'm going to keep that there as just a reminder to do some like rapids and stuff like that. But let's do some trees first. All right, we've got this randomized, and the angle is randomized as well. And you'll notice I'm leaving some of this stuff blank, and that's because I intend on throwing a couple of different kinds of trees together. I don't like doing just one kind. And we're definitely going to be cleaning this up in a lot of different ways as we're working on stuff. Do another one over here. Leave a little bit of that visible. Let's go get some other trees, like some pine trees or stuff like that. And we'll throw a deciduous tree in here. So this one's going to sit a little higher. Maybe one more we'll throw over here. And throw a pine or two. Let's make these a little smaller. Go 60 instead. And maybe one over here. And we got one more kind of tree that I like to use, which is this thick old tree. Throw that even higher. Let's go with the big ones. All right, I feel like that is enough coverage for now. We're going to clean this up a little bit more as we go. You know what? Let's do one more tree down there too. Let's do one of the classics again. I'll just make it smaller. There we go. Throw that layer down because that one's actually a little narrower, and usually narrow means smaller, shorter. So let's do. I'm going to go to our brush layer, and we're going to grab, shrink that down a little bit because I don't need that big. We are specifically going to look for, I think it's in the core or the forest. Here we go. So we're going to grab some forest floor, and we're going to change the brush size so I have a little bit more ability to refine that as I need to. And let's change this to about 45%. Let's grab the stylus again. And let's start to draw this in a little. It would help if I was in the foreground, however. So we're going to do this a couple of times to kind of fill it out and make it look a little bit more forest flory. And then we're going to do another pass around the area. It's going to be a little softer. And then we might kind of marry it all together by having another kind of pass with the grass. So let's do maybe 30%. We'll go around the area as well. So around here, definitely on the path. Around here. A little bit more on the path there. And let's grab our grass one more time. Even littler. We'll go to like 22%. Shrink the size of that down. A little bit there. A little bit there. Just to blend it in a little bit. Okay, and let's grab this again. And let's move to our other spots where there's some trees. We'll probably only do this down here once, just because there's only a couple of trees down here. And up in here, a little bit more. Definitely in those kind of gaps. Aha! Found a straggler that tried to sneak in here. Let's go grab that brush again. You don't have to be too careful because the water is all on the background layer. Let's do one more pass, a little bit more on the outside. Christina Lynn says, "Hey, how you doing?" And I didn't hear it. I'm gonna have to put the headphones on. I'm good, Christina. How are you? Thanks for dropping by. Throw a little bit up there. A little bit more. And we'll do another pass in the middle there, but you know what? Let's get these first before I forget. A little bit around the evergreen, maybe a tiny smidge in there, but we'll do that with the just slightly less opacity. A little bit around here, even here on that main little separate island. Christina says, if you're interested in artwork, actually she's a professional artist. Makes cool and attractive stuff for streamers. Can you type your Discord in chat so I can add you? I will do that closer to the end of my stream just because I don't want to lose track of what I'm doing. But I'll definitely do that for you. Okay, so we got those pieces. Let's do a little bit more. Get rid of some of the density of that opacity. Just blend it in a little bit more. And let's get rid of all these lines. Let's see how things look. Okay. Don't need that set. Don't need that set. Don't need that one. And actually, let's go into the brush layer one more time because I feel like now this is a little too robust, considering there's not a lot of trees up there, but that blend will look nice. And over here, maybe we just take a little bit more out as well. Over here. All right, but at 116, oh, I did miss a set, so let's do that over here. Let's do 30. We're definitely gonna have to clean this set up too, but that's okay. Go with something to start with. Okay, and back here. And let's do the same thing we did before. We'll kind of go between one to the other, and it helps to sort of blend things in. Okay, all right, 160 changes is a decent amount. We're going to save, and we're going to head over to our sponsors while we're waiting for that to pick back up. And now, a word from our sponsors. Brought to life by Science Magic is a great way to describe author R.J. Gould's prose debut, Cyberknight and the Hand Puppet Commandos. Reminiscent of classic toys-to-life stories like The Indian in the Cupboard and Small Soldiers, this sci-fi adventure is great for teens and preteens, as well as those who still hold a place for childlike whimsy in their heart. It's also lightly academic, with information about the world and what may lie beyond our stars. Gould is hard at work on not just 2 follow-up novels, but a graphic novel and a movie script that will hopefully bring this brand to life even bigger than ever. If you've been looking for a sci-fi that will bring some joy to your reading nook, don't wait. Check out our promo for Cyberknight and the Hand Puppet Commandos origin story on the Tellest website. A spectacular whirlwind adventure that mystifies as much as it enthralls readers, Raymond Dwayne's Quinine is the sort of epic fantasy that most people would have a hard time dreaming of. Yet, the author has done much with this universe, establishing foundational pieces of rich lore, religious history and prophecy, and wrapping it all together in a package that makes it feel like some of the best pulp fantasy of yesteryear. Indeed, there is a way that Quinine is presented that makes it feel as though this hero has been around for decades. Despite the classic feel, though, it is also wild in its imagination, with blended species bringing a sense of alien majesty to the world, which just so happens to be the massive hand of the goddess. If you'd like to learn more, head over to the Tellest website, where you'll be able to find our promotion for Quinine by Raymond Dwayne. Alrighty, we are back. I was trying to kind of figure out what I wanted to do next, so let's go into some more plants. We're going to put some like forest plants on the ground here, and see if that helps to make things kind of pop a little bit and look a little bit more realistic. Let's drop it to layer 1. It'll still be ahead of the cliffs here, but it'll be under the trees, so we can add some feeling of depth here and there. Let's throw a couple of them there as well. It's got like a nice contrast to everything. One of the things that my other artists have been doing that I've noticed a lot of is they use I think the stamp is called herb crops. I'm going to try my hand at that in this map as well, and we'll see if we can use that to sort of make things pop a little bit. I don't think, like, throughout the time that I've been working on this stuff, I haven't really used herb crops too much. Actually, kind of blend that in there. That'll hide the water spot. Oh, still noticing some over here. Keep it going. Still noticing some. I'll probably throw like a flower or two in here too, just to make it pop a little bit more. start. Let's do this one more time. Yep, Christina, I will add you after the stream. Alright, so our forest set has our pretty basic flowers that we use. So let's do a couple of flower bushes along here. Maybe I'll do a couple over here too, just to make it kind of uniform. And then let's grab our blue flowers that I like to put near the water. Let's do one on this side too. One over here. Just a couple randos here and there. All right, and let's check out those herb crops. So this guy here is what they use a lot, and I have never really used it myself, but I'll tell you what, let's do this. We're going to save one more time. It should be quick. And I'm going to real quick go to one of the recent ones that we had commissioned. And we're going to kind of play with that real quick and see if I can kind of get a grasp of why they're doing it. It's the nice thing about like having a team is everybody's got different styles and they have different techniques, and you get to learn what they're doing. All right, so we've got that in our folders and Patreon posted. So it was the Executioner's Stand. Let's go to the unfurnished version without the ruins. All right, so you can see all these guys are their herb crops. So they just kind of use it to kind of bolster some of the plants that they do. They use that as like their, you know, the tufts of grass like I just did. It kind of looks nicer. It looks more natural, I want to say. Let's see. Let's see if I can go with that technique. Let's go back to maps, go back to the covered bridge, and we'll go to that herb crop again real quick. And again, if nothing else, we'll use it to kind of bolster the plants that we already have. And let's bring it down to about 30. Bring the layer down. Above the tree? No, it's not. That's good. Maybe under the bushes and stuff as well. And we still got a lot more to do with this map too, because we have to put down, you know, the rapids, and we definitely want to put down, you know, like some split logs, maybe a couple of mushrooms here and there. Anytime that you've got like the forest undergrowth here, there's a chance for, you know, mushrooms and fungal growth and stuff like that, because it feeds on dead trees. Let's see. Let's do a couple more over here. let's do our rapids. So we're going to go to, I think there's, don't do too much with the rapids, but let's go to maybe water sea, or sea, ocean and life has what we're looking for. I know I want the waves or the sea waves, but there should also be, there's some rocks that I want. There we go. Sea beaches and wrecks. We've got some waterfalls. That's not quite what I want. Let's go back up to the core real quick. I actually don't like that either. Maybe stone. There we go. We want this stuff from the dungeons. So we don't need the rune stones because that's just these stones with some scratchies on it. So I don't need those. Let's do some sharp rocks. I guess we've already kind of done them. But let's go and make them a little bit bigger. And we're going to throw them into the water so that the water has something to come up against. And we'll use those to kind of dictate our rapids and stuff like that. Let's get rid of the path because we don't really need that anymore. Go and get our waves. So we're going to come back down to sea, ocean, and life. I feel like those waves might be a little too churny for what we're trying to do. These ones might be a little bit better for what we're trying to do. For now, anyway. Shrink these down a lot. We're just using, you know what, I'm not going to like them as much as the other ones, I don't think. So let's go back in. And I feel like I use these a lot, but shrink that down a lot, and we're going to mess with the opacity a little bit. We're going to do stuff like that. We want to randomize it a little bit more. Let's throw a couple over here by the trees. A second set over here as well. See that ripples a little bit differently. Let's do some over here by these ripples. I'll make it look like it kind of gets a little bit quicker over here. We're definitely going to have to fix those rocks too, because they shouldn't be just floating on top of the water. They should be underneath, but do that in a second. All right, and then definitely up in here, we're going to do a bunch of these little ripple waves. really speeding up over here. Alrighty, and maybe one more over here. Alright, and then let's sink some of these rocks. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can flatten them into the foreground. You can go into flatten, or background rather. Or in this case, what we might try and do, just to keep things tidy, is mess with the opacity. So if we want things uniform, we can do something like that. I think I accidentally got the wave there, but that's okay. Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe it just yelled at me. So the one nice thing about doing the flatten instead of the opacity is if you did want some of the rocks to be over top of the water, like you wanted them to be kind of like coming out, you'd be able to do that. Typically that's kind of the way that I do things. Let's actually do that now. Let's grab these rocks. We'll do them kind of like one set at a time. Let's grab these ones, flatten them to the background, and then we're going to grab the water and we'll do the opacity like that instead. So you can see they're sort of under. Do the same thing with that one, but these two, they're a little bit bigger. So what we'll do instead is we'll go around, but not all the way around. And same thing here. Go around the borders a little bit. You'll see that that kind of fades in a little bit, and then that side right there is still kind of jutting out. Let's grab these ones too. These ones are all pretty big rocks. So again, we're going to do sort of the perimeter of these that will blend it in a little bit better. But we'll leave the main stuff alone. Alright, and then here's going to be the last couple of bits, I think. Those, let's do, I'm not going to let them all off the hook. We'll say that that one's kind of jutting up and out from that side. This one's up in the air because that one is submerged, and a little bit more here. I'm also going to see if maybe I can find a little bit of sea foam in the stamp set. Let's see. There we go. We've got these waves here a little bit. We're going to do them in a couple of places. And we're still going to need to do a little bit more with this map, but this is a pretty good start. Oh, you know what I'm noticing though? This shouldn't be above the trees. And let's make sure that this one, yep, that one should be okay. We'll have it a little bit gentler back here. Let's do a save. We're almost at that time. So let's go into our show closing screen. So folks, on the screen right now, you should see all the places that you can find Tellest content out there on the internet. Tellest.com is a great first place to start because it'll bring you to all the other projects that we're working on. But you can also go to a couple of our premium sites. Patreon.com/Tellest is a great first place to start because that'll bring you to our a la carte map menu. We've got 164 maps on right now, so we've got a lot of stuff for you, and you get them at a very low price if you are one of our patrons on Patreon. You get access to cool variants and point of interest documents, things like that. And we also introduced commercial licensing recently as well, which you can access through Patreon. We also have Tellest.etsy.com, which is where you can find physical versions of our maps, BattleMapFantasy.com, where you can go to basically our drive-through RPG publisher page, and you can see all of our things on kind of like a la carte menu on there. We also have 2 TikTok channels, at Tales of Tellest, where you can see our poochies, and at Weird Witch Wands, where you're going to be able to find all of Rihanna's crafts from the baubles side of the books and baubles things. And let's see, we've got youtube.com/@worldoftellest, which is where a lot of these things live after Twitch knocks us off after the 3 weeks or 4 weeks or however long it is. But twitch.tv/thattellestguy is the only place that you can go to catch us live. So be sure to come check us out on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And soon we're going to be kicking back up our Quantum Quest tabletop Thursdays every other Thursday. So keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, I'm going to be signing off for the night, and I'll see you tomorrow. And until then, I miss you.